Now, what I want to talk about today is something that a lot of people lose the forest for the trees with when they actually perform their exercises. And it kind of brings in two things when we discuss this. The first one being tempo, and then the second one being execution. And the two of those are intertwined. And people, again, like to bag on tempo and say, oh, time under tension is meaningless and you shouldn't be using excessive time under tension. And yes, I 100% agree with that. Like, I don't see the value in doing excessively slow reps where you're just doing excessively slow reps for the sake of it. You're not actually increasing the tension on the musculature. Like, yes, it is a valid form of progression. Like, if you do a movement and you do a 2-second eccentric and a 1-second concentric, it's like, cool, yeah, that's perfect. And then you max out your weights, being able to do that. The weights in your gym, or you're at your top end of it. The dumbbells only go up to 30 kilos. Like, slowing down those reps and getting to, say, a 5-second eccentric and a 2-second concentric or whatever it is, will give you some form of progression, some form of progressively overloading those movements, those exercises, whatever it is, So that time under tension is a valid form of progression. However, a lot of people use it to just use really, really light weights and not actually engage the muscles they're trying to train anymore. Like, they're not actually feeling the musculature while they are going through the eccentric. Like, the weight is so light that they aren't actually using the musculature that they want to use. Well, they are obviously using it, but they're not actually stimulating it a whole pile, So when we talk about tempo, what we're actually doing is utilizing a timing method to ensure that your rep execution is the same each time. Okay, so tempo is purely a form of ensuring your execution is perfect. And yes, it is a form of overloading certain points during that execution. Perhaps you want to overload the extended position or the contracted position, whatever it is, you want to overload that position a little bit more so you spend more time in that position. So that's what you want to think of tempo as, because at the end of the day, you have no control over how strong you will get, no control over how big you will get, no control over any other variable when you're training outside of how you actually perform the rep, So you have full control over how you perform the rep. That is all you have control over. You don't have control over how many reps you will get, how many sets you will be able to do, how your recovery will be, etc., etc. All you have control over is how you actually execute that rep in that moment, So there's a lot of talk about being present and mindfulness and everything. This, like training, is the ultimate form of mindfulness, because you should be 100, 1000, 1,000,000% mindful and present in that movement. Like, you should feel every single second of that movement. It shouldn't be just, ticking the boxes and, oh yeah, I just want to get up to 8 reps. I'm just going to go through the movement. Oh, what's up, Johnny? That's not what we're talking about. Like, I want to see someone fully connected with the movement, feeling every little fiber of their musculature firing, and 100% in time with the tempo they're supposed to be adhering to, the rest periods they're supposed to be adhering to. But again, all you have control over is how you do that rep. So you shouldn't be thinking, oh, I want to get to rep 8. You should be thinking, I want to get this rep as perfectly as possible. I don't care if that means I fail at 5 reps. Like, it's irrelevant to me. Like, all you have control over is how you perform that rep. So if that means that you fail, you fatigue earlier, cool. That just gives you another method of progression later on. If you keep executing those reps where you're perfect with your technique and you're slowly getting stronger and your body is slowly adapting to that, you will get bigger, you will get stronger, whatever you're looking for from that training. And that doesn't just apply if you're looking to build muscle. That also applies if you are looking to build strength, because what you'll commonly see in different platforms or different social medias, you'll see people going, oh, I have to drop the weight because I need to refine my technique. And this is what they're constantly doing. They're like, oh yeah, cool, hit a 5 kilo PR, and it's like, okay, boom, I've dropped my weight by fucking 50% because, you know, my technique has gone to shit. And you'll see this a lot with people doing their programs. The first 2-3 weeks, even powerlifters who, again, you've got 3 exercises to master, your execution should be 100%. Like, you only have 3 movements to do, you know. Same with weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, although they tend to be a little bit better because of the nature and the speed of their movements. They have to be very pinpoint with their accuracy and their actual execution. But if you have 3 movements, 2 movements, whatever it is to do, you should be 1000% in control of every single second of those movements. They should be perfect, you know. So that's what you want to be thinking of, and you'll see this commonly throughout programs where we're like, yeah, my execution is perfect first week, I really feel it in the musculature, I'm really progressing, I find that, you know, I've got full control. And then when you come back to them 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later, they're like, yeah, boom, just bouncing the bar off their chest, no control, and they're like, oh yeah, elbows going up, everything's just falling apart, you know. Their execution just went to shit, you know. So use tempo as a method of ensuring that your execution is perfect, but tempo is irrelevant if it's not actually ensuring your execution is perfect, because all you have control over is your execution. How you perform the rep is how you adapt, you know. So it's irrelevant if you're like, oh, I'm going to talk about volume, intensity, all these other things, and it's like you haven't maximized the very thing you have control over. Like, you don't have control over how much volume your body can handle. You don't have control over how much intensity you can do in an exercise. You don't have control over how strong you are. You don't have control over how big you are. You literally only have control over how you perform the exercise, and that comes down to rep by rep by rep. So you have to maximize your execution on every single rep, and then you can start layering in everything else. The first thing you layer in then is tempo, because that is a way for you to ensure that rep to rep they look the exact same, you know, because your execution, the way you perform it, might be perfect, you know. You got, okay, I've got it down, I can do these curls perfectly 100%, I know how to do them, nothing's moving, nothing's whatever. But your first one is like, yeah, okay, cool, it's a nice 3 seconds up and 3 seconds down tempo, and then the next one is like 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, the next one's 1 second up, you know. So they're not standardized reps. So tempo is a method to standardize your reps across the board, and that's what you should be using it as, rather than using it as a method of progression, although obviously it can be used as that. And if you are just ignoring tempo and going, yeah, I just do the exercise, you are missing out on a huge component of actually ensuring that the exercises you do are keeping tension in the musculature that you wanted to do, or keeping tension in the overall exercise that you wanted to do. Like, you don't want to do squats and go, yeah, okay, cool, I'm not actually thinking of muscle building, I'm thinking of, you know, powerlifting, and I want to get good at squats, you know. That's the means to the end, or the end justifies the means. As long as you get good at squats, doesn't matter how you do it. But even then, you do want to actually perform the squats as well as possible, you know. The more you can control it on the eccentric, the better you will be able to exert that force. You know, if you're pitched forward down in this good morning position, you are not going to be as successful in your overall, you know, squatting career as if you were to actually focus on a technique that allows you to stay more upright. Now, yes, you can progress like that for years on end, but there is a cost to that, especially if it is going beyond ranges of motion that you actually have, you know. So you need to focus on how you perform your reps, and the way you can do that, or a way you can do that, is ensuring that the tempo of each of those reps is identical, you know. So that's how you should be utilizing tempo, but you should be utilizing it with the viewpoint that all you have control over is your execution of the reps themselves.